Besides closer, because I get it, what is your biggest Rangers concern heading into spring training? I swear to God, if you say closer.
It rhymes with closer.
Good song.
It's actually kind of the same word. I got a list of 3, Kevin.
Okay, good. Hold on. Are any of them closer? Because if they are...
You'll have to wait and see.
Oh, my God.
Number 1, Wyatt Langford's oblique.
That just happened this morning. He's fine.
You're not concerned about it?
He's going to be fine.
Thank you, Alex.
Scott Braun from Foul Territory said, relax.
It's great. It's 2 people.
Actually, you know what? If you were listening to Scott, it kind of sounded like he was calling the way things happen now a little soft. He goes, back in the day, there would be nothing. You would hear nothing about this, but now people need to take a week off or whatever. The most important oblique for a right-handed batter. Oh, my God.
Kevin.
We're done.
Since you say it's not that big of a deal, I will make it number 3 on my list. Okay. Number 2 on my list. Last year, we weren't a great defensive team.
That's a fact.
On the way to the World Series, we were the best defensive team. Like, go back and watch how many times defense bailed out a bad play or a big moment in the World Series, in the Astros series. Our team defense was so good, and you can ask Jared Sandler this. He's preached this for years. Defense is so important to winning in baseball championships. If you want to be a championship contender, you have to play elite level defense. And last year we weren't great. So I don't know if it was because some of the games weren't as competitive as they wanted them to be and the juice just wasn't there. But they need to be better defensively this year. Otherwise, you're going to kill arms of DeGrom and the Baldies and make them be out there for innings they don't need to be. But my number one concern, Kevin, is if Berger and Jock don't add the juice to the team that we expect. Like we do, we're putting a lot on them to be, oh yeah, they're going to be guys that they go into this lineup and now look at this lineup. Well, this lineup did have, obviously, an injured Corey Seager last year.
Yeah.
There were an injured Josh Young. This lineup looks like it's murderer's row. It really does.
It does.
But last year, we kind of needed 2 guys like Jock and Jake Berger to inject a little liveliness into this thing and be able to be power when it wasn't existing. And so I'm hoping and expecting that Adolis and Seager and Young are going to come back and be really good. But we need those 2 guys, if something goes wrong, to be it. If they aren't that concerns me a little bit. Actually, that concerns me the most.
All right, Alec.
I do like from the 4-2-5, though. It's an odd year. Bochy's the manager. No concerns.
Okay, and I do get that, Alec. I want to go to you next in just 1 second, but I did want to read this one from the 903. Farm system. If DeGrom or Evo go down, who's waiting at the lower levels? So I will just I will tell you this. Bradford, John Gray, Tyler Mahle, Kamar Rocker, Jack Leiter, Dane Dunning. Now, you might not feel comfortable with all of those players, and I get it. And there's a really good shot. You're going to need more than 8 starting pitchers this year. A really good shot. You're going to need more than 8 starting pitchers. But it does feel like the Rangers have some depth at starting pitcher. I just wonder if the concern is, but you don't have like more top-end depth. Like all of a sudden is your rotation going to be... And I think Rocker could be eventually really amazing. But I think the concern some people might have is, are you going to have a 5-man rotation filled with 5 number 4 or 5 pitchers?
I totally expect, in the way that Scott Braun was talking about it this morning, I expect an Evo hot start, some sort of weird what's going on with him in the middle of the season, and they give him the rest that he needs to make a late season push and a postseason run. That just seems like that's kind of it seems smart almost, because how many times do you see these guys get to the end of the year and they're dead because they pushed it so hard throughout the regular season? It almost seems smart with older players to kind of give them that opportunity to ramp back up. I do have that same concern, though.
Okay.
That when it gets past that, what do we got? Well, we got Mike Maddox, so I have a lot of faith that you're going to have prepared pitchers. That is something I do feel like you're going to have is prepared guys on the mound.
And I hope this doesn't step on anything you were going to say, Alec, but I understand if people are concerned about Mahle Gray, and Rocker also having their own injury concerns in the past.
And to go along with Corey's point, just to think about, like that starting pitcher that you think of as he is going to start every fifth day and he is going to eat innings and he is going to give you quality starts, but just totally falling off the face of the earth because he was tired. Think about the Rangers World Series run in 2023 when they matched up with Baltimore. Our old friend Kyle Gibson. By the postseason, he was almost unplayable just because he had no injuries throughout the season that I can recall. He was fine all year. He gets to the postseason, they relegate him to almost like an emergency guy because they couldn't trust him. And he's a guy that, he was an all-star with the Rangers just a couple years before that, and he was considered at the time as a serviceable starter, but it was a guy that they didn't want to touch in the postseason. In the same vein, the thing that I'm concerned about is your bench. Are you going to have that same superhero savior like Josh Smith was last year? Because you're inevitably going to have guys that are going to miss time out in the field outside of your pitching. Corey Seager's going to need some time. Marcus Semien is the one guy that you expect to be your Iron Man. But outside of that, Josh Young, you don't know what to expect. The platoon situation that you might have at first base, the outfield, Adolis Garcia, like Evan Carter, you're going to have guys that are going to miss time. Are you going to have that guy? He doesn't have to bat 300 or anything crazy, but are you going to have a guy that is going to play serviceable baseball and give you a spark offensively when guys inevitably do miss time?
So, Alec, I feel like that's kind of hinted at or just directly said by the 817 consistency and then the 972-254-903. Health, health, health. And so, I get what you're saying is who will the replacement be, but it feels like the primary concern, at least for people texting in, is health. And so, for example, let's take what Alec was just talking about. Health in terms of offense. Well, what if you have a problem there? Are you going to have, like he said, that super sub ready to go? I think a lot of people are just thinking about health in the pitching staff as well. So I will concede, while there are a lot of things that I think this Rangers team will make a positive improvement year over year in, the injury concern remains.
I don't know if you know this or not, but I missed most of this week.
What?
Yeah, I was out most of this week, so...
Where were you?
I'm sick, but I may have missed some things. Did we or are we planning on doing a what are you pumped about at some point?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
'Cause I didn't want to be like, hey, this is just to be quite honest, like you got a lot of really good things still too. But the closer situation is one of the ones that I think everybody is like, I'd like to have that fixed. These other things though are realities of this team. We saw it play out last year. We saw exactly what Alex talking about play out 2 years. I mean, we got to make sure that you have those kind of backup players ready and to go just in case. They've done a pretty good job of it. I mean, you still do have Josh Smith, but is he going to be at the same level? I don't know.
If it makes you feel better, I'll give you a tease or a sneak peek at what our tease is probably going to be for Monday. Josh Young said he is. So are you ready for the Rangers to kick some ass?
I am.
So there you go.
Okay,
so
I
promise we will get to the other part of it. I just kind of wanted to pick people's brains in terms of outside of the closer, because I get it. Closer is like by far, it's like my number one, and then my next concern is 6. That occupies so much of my concern about this team.
Well, and we had that feeling last year with is Kirby Yates the guy? We don't know. He hasn't pitched well at this in 2 years was it? And we were very concerned, and then he did it. The thing that I think it kind of revolves around number one for me with Berger and Jock is that offense we saw it 2 years ago, heading to the playoffs, disappear.
Yeah.
You couldn't score a run when you needed a run in any way. And then somehow for however many games, was it 11 games throughout the playoffs or 14?
11 road games.
Yeah, 11 road. They just said, hey, guess what? We're scoring just enough every time. And whenever we need it, we'll do it. Last year, it seemed like you're fighting these games where the Rangers for the first 4 innings are zeros.
Yeah.
And then you're like, we need runs, guys, and you're putting so much pressure on your pitchers. That's the part of it that I don't know, because they moved on from hires. How much different is it going to be offensively this year? That needs to hop up.
This is a really fascinating one, because we kind of talked about this earlier in the week. The 817, I'm still concerned that the umps are going to keep calling a massive strike zone against Wyatt Langford. Well, remember at spring training, including at our stadium in Surprise, they're going to be testing out.
Did you see it last night?
Yes. So
it looks awesome.
I wonder if, I don't think it'll be specifically like Wyatt Langford, but if certain players will get singled out and they'll continue to challenge in spring training, it'll be like, oh, we missed 8 calls on Wyatt Langford this spring training. And maybe that will lead to some sort of overhaul. I'm not sure about that. I hesitate to bring this up from the 254.
Don't hesitate.
My biggest concern is Kevin's negative opinion on the Rangers' record this season, 162-0. Go Rangers. That's not going to happen. Nothing close to that is going to happen.
That's the negativity that he's talking about.
I'm
going to
go up to every single player and say, you know what? I said you can't go 162-0.
But what's the point?
So they know.
Why don't you tell them, hey, if y'all go 162-0, you can hit me in the junk with a wiffle ball bat.
Man, we tried that once before, and I really thought
we were so close.
Adrian Beltre was going to permanently injure me.
Colby did it, so it all worked out for us. But 162-0 realistically is very difficult, almost impossible. Almost impossible.
Okay, I'll concede.
Just because nobody's done it yet.
I know. I will
nobody
concede.
Can. But
we're even
can you imagine
close.
that long of a season?
Yes.
But yeah, I hope so.
And what I said earlier in the week, that would put the most unreasonable amount of pressure that's ever been on any sports team in the history of the world if you went 162-0 going into the playoffs.
Dude, or can you imagine being 161-0 in your final game and you're sitting there going, do we even need to win this game? And
if you made it that far, you might as well just win the last game too. From the 561, I believe it all boils down to health, particularly the health of players like Jacob deGrom, Evan Carter, but nothing, and I mean nothing, will stop us from getting Rangers. Go get Rangers. Okay, what?
Are we, okay, can we talk face-to-face with him about that this year and say, hey, Boach, do you think, can you end every interview with that this year and just see if he says
God,
it?
I hope not, because I still remember, I don't know if we have it, but that laugh when he's like, hey, that's funny.
That's funny.
I was
he's awesome.
Yeah, I was like, oh, no, oh, no.
We're very fortunate. Just think about some of the managers that we have had here.
For sure.
That have been really, fun managers to talk to. Ron Washington was an absolute blast. Johnny Oates was just such an amazing class act. Bobby Valentine, haven't met him. As a Rangers fan my entire life, I'm very excited to be able to talk to Boach because he's guiding my team to maybe another World Series championship.
All right. People said that I've been hating, so I have a positive for you. We're going to dive into analytics just a little bit. According to the FanGraphs depth chart on F-WAR projections, all right, so I know that's a whole lot of words right there. There are only 2 teams that are in the top 10 for all the categories. Infield catcher, outfield and DH, starting pitching, and the bullpen. Only 2 teams in all the top 10. The Dodgers and the Rangers.
Go get Rangers, baby.
Now, the Dodgers are 4-4-1-2, where the Rangers are 8, 7, 10, and 10. Yeah. I get it. But the point is, still top 10.
Still top 10.
In all of them.
And if you're there in the category at the midway point in the season, go look at those. Go look back and say, oh, hold on, the Rangers are top 4 in pitching and top 4 in runs. These are great categories to be tops in. So if you have more of those top 10s than other teams, you're in a good place.